Hey, this is David at Richter Scale Studios doing a small update. I should have Star Wars Legion in the next couple days being delivered. I don't have a table ready though. If you see in my last videos, I was using a section of a 40K board, which was 2 feet by 4 feet. This is a 3-section, 3 foot by 2 foot. So it makes it the regulation size, I believe, by 6 foot by 3. And I did some terrain printing last night and did some down and dirty spray painting. This is the Imperial Terrain Mos Eisley 1 bath, 1 bed. Very cool piece of terrain. Printed nicely. It's 2 pieces. Comes apart real quick. You can put stuff inside. We'll go to this one. This is Imperial Terrain also. This is the small desert home. It's got doors that come out. I'm not going to take them out right now. And a removable roof, but it must be, no, it's not sealed. And it fits in really nicely. And this, probably seen another update, probably on my Facebook. This is from Terrain for Print, Marcus Cruz. This is the TA-12 troop transport. This is another down and dirty paint job. I tried to give it a Millennium Falcon-esque color to it, so the whites and the dirty dust color. And this is a really cool piece. I think it might need to be sized up a little bit. So I think this was originally designed around Imperial Assault, which is a much smaller scale, but this is a really detailed piece. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. It took a while to print. It went together really nicely. Oh, then we have the landing gear on the bottom. I might detail the bottom still. It's a little too plain, but who's going to see it? But it'd be kind of cool just to do some basic shapes on the bottom. And the detailed landing gear. The table so far, I'll leave that off. I just sanded it down. This is 2-inch pink extruded foam. I sanded it down with some pretty rough sandpaper. I'm going to hit it with some black latex primer, so then I can actually down and dirty paint it at first, because I want to texture it and add some things to it, but I want it so I can flip it also. So we can have this side is a desert side, flip it over and be like an Endor, or kind of like a more lush, like greens and darker browns on the other side to fit in different terrain and trees and things like that. So this is my little recipe for these quick paint jobs. Everything gets saturated in black primer, upside and downside, so you can see like it's a nice coat on everything. Then everything's zenithal with gray. And then I decide to go in with my other colors. Like the desert, both the desert homes, let me put these closer together. They were done after that. The only other colors, I was darkening them with the Krylon Ultra Flat Brown. This is their camouflage. And this khaki. And I went back and forth. And then actually, after I was done with the khaki color, let it dry thoroughly, then come back in and just highlight it real quick. So give it a nice saturation of color. And this is on sawhorse. It's not very stable, some cardboard underneath it. I use it for painting. And the troop transport with the Millennium Falcon-esque paint scheme is same thing, black, gray, and then no brown. I went back and forth with a primer white and the ultra flat. And this is a way to get something on the table real quick. And then last minute, it would look too bright on the front, so I just hit it with some gray. When I do get to it with an airbrush, I don't think I ever did a video on my Necromunda vats. I'll come over and show you that in a second. So right next to us, what I can do with an airbrush. So I just wanted something to go on the table real quick. I can take an airbrush to it. And this paint is very protective, number one, and it's also very flat. So it is a primer. So I can go over it with an airbrush real quick, then protect it again with a varnish. I'll take you over, excuse the movement. This is my Necromunda table. Hasn't been played on yet, but it's very, very populated. And like this, most of these are down and dirty paint jobs. These are black, gray, and going back with flat red and black, back and forth. This you can see on my Facebook page. This was a misprint. It was a shift, an X shift, because of the Prusa lost power, and before the new firmware update, it didn't go back to the exact spot. So I went over with milliput, and I took I took a reciprocal saw And then the floor, I took a little table saw to it and cut these little parts out. Then Millie put it on to make them look like it was melted and damaged. And most of the tables painted like that. Some of these pieces are just done in reds, and a lot of the cargo pieces are just really sprayed quickly. So they look cool, they look weathered, but you go on the table real quick. These are what I spent time on. I wish I did a video on these. These were really, really fun to do. These are from War Layer 2. These are the damaged vats. As you can see, they are 3D printed. Vallejo, the new Vallejo metals. This is a copper. And most of this was Badger Minotaur, which is a great airbrush paint. And the greens, there's probably a light, a dark, and a white to do the spilling sludge or whatever's in this thing. Highlighted bolts, everything's airbrushed on here. I believe I went through with like a glaze of wash to really get depth in the crevices of the plates. And then you can see a little bit of hard edge highlighting just to bring out all the detail. And this is basically the same vat, but not damaged. So this is and I actually did some OSL on that. So you can see it glowing on the edge. Tried to pull it off on this, and I went backwards. It should have been on the bottom, working its way up. I can always change it, but I just left it. And this is basically done like these. So metals, and then airbrushed some rust colors on it, just give it an old weathered look, and did OSL on the bottom of it, which you're not going to ever see, but I had the paint in the airbrush at the time. So that is it for my update. I'm going to do another part where we're expressly working on the table, and it'll be just getting it ready just to play on with just base coating it with the black primer, latex primer, then hitting it with a bunch of, picking up more of the spray paint and doing like a desert color over it. I need to get like a yellow or ochre to mix with the white to get a more of a desert color and mix in the khaki with it, because I want the buildings to stand out too. I don't want it to blend too much. Then the bottom, I'll get some more camouflage colors and the browns and probably that khaki just for that side. And I will do another video on this. I don't think I've done a video on this yet. I've done a lot of pictures on my artist page on Facebook. And actually, this is a screwed up Imperial Terrain garage piece. You've seen on one of my other updates. I put it together wrong, but it's going to make, it fits in this really nicely. And this is all mostly War Layer, except we have some printable scenery. Those, that's a plasma or a chem forge or something like that. That's the plasma forge right there, 200% bigger than normal. Then we have a War Layer 2 landing pad Bravo. And that is obviously GW Mechanicus terrain on top of that. Really kind of cool stacking thing. And I'm in my garage. I do all my spray painting out here. I just lost light. It's back. This is a toy from England, a park garage. I have a bunch of these. I think I finally figured out how I'm going to do this. This is like a yellow ABS or something like that. It's kind of an ABS. It's cheaper. It's not really hard. I'm going to go over that with a flat red and some oranges, then hit it down with a varnish, then sponge it with some masking fluid or latex, and then hit it with yellow and then pull it off with poster tack. So we'll have yellow with rust coming out underneath it. Still working on ideas for the, if you follow any of the Necromunda groups, these are aquarium bottoms for aerating under the rocks. This is actually a really cool deal to get those. I'll put a link in my video for where you can get those on Amazon. And I don't know if I can find a link for that on eBay. If I can find it, I'll put that on there too to pick it up. And that is about it. That is another War Layer thing. Actually, Andrew put this on his site when I originally did the primer on it. Then I came up with this idea for the troop carrier, and then he redesigned one. This was like a remix of his terrain, and he made a custom one that actually fits. And that is their containment container. It's like based on those, but more of a cage. These are War Layer version 1 from his first Kickstarter. I love these towers. You see how versatile they are, and I just love printing these out. And they're kind of epic looking, and with the bridges, this will be so much fun to play on when I ever get my miniatures painted. Or they are based on MDF, but they're very delicate with the super glue on the feet to be painted eventually. And that is the major Navy Orbital Heavy Lifter by Warlayer. That's from the first Kickstarter. And that's just a mixture of spray paints, browns and oranges and yellows. It's going back and forth. Coming up with, I'm trying to go with an orange color. It kind of looks like rust, but I'm trying to make it look like a, have you ever been to like the docks or a bay somewhere where they have the big cargo companies? You see red and different colored cargo cranes. So that's where that came from. So that is it on this update, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining me.